want you to notice Revelation chapter 17. We're going to see the characteristics here. You're going to now see some similarities with what we studied from Israel in the Old Testament. Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great what? Of the great harlot who sits on many waters. Oh, that great harlot must be Iraq. In the light of what we studied from the history of Israel, would this be some pagan nation, or would this be those who profess to be God's people? It must be those who profess to be God's people, because it speaks of a great harlot. And by the way, let me tell you something. I'm not going to identify who the great harlot is today. But by the characteristics, you're going to know who it is. And later on in this series, we are going to study a little bit more and identify what this power is. Now notice who this harlot is. Chapter 17 and verse 5 of Revelation. And on her forehead a name was written. Mystery. What is the name of this harlot? Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. What is the name of this harlot? Her name is what? Her name is Mystery. Babylon the what? The Great. Does this have any relationship with the second angel's message? The second angel's message says, Babylon is fallen, that great city. Here, it says that this harlot's name is what? Babylon. By the way, we're told also in Revelation 17 verse 1 that she sits upon many waters. What does the act of sitting mean? The act of sitting means that she rules. Notice, chapter 17 and verse 1. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits, where? On many waters. Now, sitting on many waters would mean that she rules over the waters. But what do the waters represent? Notice Revelation 17 and verse 15. Revelation chapter 17 and verse 15. It says, Then he said to me, The waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Let me ask you, is she ruling basically globally? Yes. Revelation 13 says that the whole world wondered after the what? The beast, who is the same as the harlot, we're going to notice. And so we have to find a harlot church, because a harlot represents a fallen church, according to what we've studied. It has to be a church that is what? Global or worldwide, but there's more. It has to be a church that is involved with the nations, with the political nations of the world. Notice Revelation chapter 17 and verse 2. Revelation chapter 17 verse 2. It's not only a church, it's not only a fallen church, it fornicates with the kings of the earth, just like Israel did. It says in Revelation 17 verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Let me ask you, does she fornicate with the kings of the earth just like Israel did? Absolutely. But I want you to notice that she also has daughters. Did we notice that about Israel? Notice Revelation chapter 17 and verse 5. Revelation 17 verse 5. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Do we have the word abominations here too? We have the word fornication. We have the word harlot. She controls the many waters of the world. Nations, multitudes, tongues, and peoples. Absolutely. And by the way, if she's a mother, she must have daughters, because I don't know the first mother that never had children. I know women who didn't have children. But mothers have children. And because she's a harlot, her daughters are also harlots. Now notice that she gives wine to the nations. Revelation 17 and verse 2. With whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. You just have to accept by faith what I'm going to say now. The wine represents her false teachings in contradiction to the first angel's message. She fell because she rejected the first angel's message. The wine is the opposite of the first angel's message. We're going to study that in our next lecture. In other words, she gives her false teachings and her false practices to the nations, and she makes them what? Drunk. That's why when you preach the truth, people don't want to accept it. It's almost impossible to give a Bible study to a drunk.